Let me start by asking you this. Have you ever met a woman who carries the heart of a queen but somehow forgets her own throne? It's one of life's greatest tragedies, watching a woman who was born with royalty pulsing through her veins. Yet she walks timidly, like a stranger begging for scraps of love, respect, and validation. Imagine someone who was destined to rule, standing just outside the gates of her own kingdom, hesitating, asking for permission to enter. That's not who you are. No, no, no. You are a queen. And it's time you start owning that truth, owning your power. The problem isn't that others don't see your worth, it's that you haven't fully seen it yourself yet. When you don't recognize your own value, you allow people to treat you however they want. You let them speak to you with disrespect, accept treatment that you should have walked away from the very moment it began. Why? Because you don't know who you truly are. You stay, you tolerate, you make excuses, you justify the disrespect, telling yourself, maybe I'm overthinking this, maybe I'm asking for too much, maybe this is all I deserve. But let me be clear, you are not asking for too much. What you are asking for is exactly what every queen deserves: respect, honor, love, and dignity. If someone can't give you that, then they don't deserve a place in your life. Do you realize what happens when a queen lowers her standards? She invites chaos right into her kingdom. When you let others treat you like you're ordinary, you stop walking in the divine power that was given to you. You silence your voice, dim your light, and accept dishonor in the name of love. But hear this. True love never strips you of your dignity. True love never makes you feel small. True love doesn't require you to shrink just so someone else can feel bigger. If you have to beg for love, if you have to lose yourself to keep it, then it was never love to begin with. I want you to hear this today. You are never meant to live beneath your worth. The way you carry yourself tells the world how to treat you. The way you speak about yourself and the way you allow others to treat you send powerful messages. And some of you have been sending the wrong message for far too long. You've let pain convince you that you're not worth more. You've allowed rejection to convince you that you're not good enough. You've accepted the lies of people who never truly knew how to love you. But today, I'm here to wake you up. You are not the names they called you. You are not your mistakes. You are not unworthy, unlovable, or too much. You are a queen. And from this moment on, you must carry yourself like one. Stop chasing those who don't see your value. Stop crying over people who were never meant to stay. Stop waiting for permission to be who you already are. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. Queens don't ask to be treated right, they expect it. Queens don't beg for respect, they command it. Queens don't settle for less than they deserve, they walk away. And yes, some of you fear walking away because you're scared of being alone. But here's the truth. The right people will never ask you to be less just to be with them. They will honor, cherish, protect, and respect you, not because you demand it, but because they see who you truly are. If they don't, then let them go. A queen never begs someone to recognize her crown. If they can't see it, they were never meant to sit at your table. So, stop lowering your standards because you're afraid of solitude. It's better to walk alone with dignity than to stay surrounded by those who don't respect you. Now, ask yourself, when you walk into a room, what do people see? Do they see a woman who knows her worth? Or a woman who's unsure? Apologizing for simply existing? Waiting for permission to take up space? Because here's the truth. A queen never shrinks herself to make others comfortable. She walks with confidence, speaks with authority, and owns every space she enters. If you want to step into the woman you were created to be, you have to stop hiding. Stop acting afraid to be seen. Your posture, your voice, your presence, they reflect what you believe about yourself. Too many of you have been walking around with your head down, shoulders slouched, voice barely a whisper because life taught you that you're not enough. Because people made you feel like your presence was a burden. You hesitate to speak, second-guess your own opinions, downplay your intelligence, laugh at jokes that aren't funny just to fit in. You say yes when you really want to say no. But listen carefully. A queen never apologizes for being who she is. You've made yourself smaller for others to feel bigger. You've silenced your voice to avoid conflict, held back your truth when you should have spoken up, dimmed your light so others wouldn't feel threatened. But that is not why you were created. God placed purpose, wisdom, strength, and vision inside of you, not for you to hide or stay silent. You don't need permission to speak with power. You don't need validation to carry yourself with confidence. You don't need approval to walk with authority. Stop wandering lost when you know exactly who you are. Stop doubting yourself when God has already confirmed your worth. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you you're good enough. Because you already are. Just like we talked about before, knowing who you are is the foundation of everything. So believe this deep in your heart. You are not an afterthought. You are not a mistake or someone's backup plan. You are a queen, and the way you move through life should shout that truth from the rooftops. Confidence isn't about arrogance or looking down on others. It's about knowing yourself so well that no one can convince you otherwise. It's about carrying yourself with grace, dignity, and a kind of self-respect that says, I know my worth. And that confidence? It's not only in the way you walk, it's in the way you speak. 2. Some of you have been whispering when you should have been declaring. You've been softening your words, making them easier for others to swallow. For people who were never really meant to understand your true voice. But your voice was never meant to be hidden. Your words were never meant to be silenced. There's power in your speech, authority in your voice, and when you speak. You need to believe in every word you say. No more trailing off at the end of sentences like you're unsure. No more doubting your own thoughts as if you don't trust yourself. No more speaking in ways that invite others to question you. If you are a queen, every single word that leaves your mouth should reflect that. Your voice should be strong, yet gentle, firm, yet kind, wise, but never arrogant, and above all, your words must line up with your actions. A queen doesn't just talk about knowing her worth, she moves with the confidence of it. She doesn't simply say she's strong, she shows it through how she carries herself every day. Understand this. People treat you based on the standard you set for yourself. Walk into a room like you don't belong, and others will treat you like an outsider. Speak like your words don't matter, and you'll be ignored. But walk like you are worthy. Speak like you have something important to contribute. Carry yourself with the authority that God has placed inside you, and people will have no choice but to respect you. So, from this moment forward, no more small steps, no more timid voices, no more apologizing for existing. Walk like the queen you are. Speak like the queen you are. Because the world will never recognize your royalty until you do. There comes a time when you have to stop letting just anyone walk in and out of your life like a revolving door. Stop handing over your energy to those who only drain you, who take but never give back. A queen doesn't let just anyone sit at her table. She doesn't let anyone speak into her life or get close enough to disrupt her peace. If you want to truly step into the power and authority inside you, you must learn to protect your peace. Many of you are carrying burdens that were never meant for you. You hold on to problems that aren't yours. You cling to relationships that have long been dead, simply because you're afraid to let go. You allow yourself to be pulled in 1,000 directions, and then wonder why you're exhausted, drained, and empty inside. It's because you've been giving away your peace to people who don't value it. You've invited chaos into the places God intended for stillness. But you cannot live in peace if you keep entertaining things that disturb it. Some people thrive on drama. Some feel comfortable only in dysfunction. Others drag you into their mess so they don't have to sit in it alone. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself fighting battles that were never yours to fight, trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. That is not your purpose. You were not created to carry everyone else's weight at the expense of your own well-being. You are not the dumping ground for other people's problems. You are not obligated to stay stuck in toxic relationships just because of shared history. Listen closely. Peace isn't something that just happens. Peace is something you protect. You have to become intentional about guarding your space, your time, and your energy. You must be serious about cutting off distractions, limiting access to those who don't pour into you, and removing yourself from anything that costs your peace of mind. I know it's not easy. I know some of you hesitate to set boundaries because you don't want to disappoint others, don't want to seem rude, or fear being labeled cold. But let me tell you something, your peace is not negotiable. Protecting your peace doesn't mean you don't love people. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't make you selfish. It means you understand that you can't pour from an empty cup. Many of you are trying to be everything to everyone, and in the process, you're losing yourself. You stretch yourself so thin that you no longer recognize the woman in the mirror. You say yes to things you don't have the energy for. You take on responsibilities that aren't yours. You hold everything together for everyone else. But inside, you're falling apart. Then you wonder why you feel depleted, frustrated, unseen, and unappreciated. Building on what we just discussed about protecting your peace and setting boundaries. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly poured into yourself? When was the last moment you took to rest, to breathe deeply, to focus solely on your own needs? When did you last prioritize your own peace? You cannot keep running on empty. You cannot keep neglecting your own well-being, sacrificing yourself for people who wouldn't do the same for you. It's time to reclaim your peace. Time to stop apologizing for putting yourself first. Time to stop explaining why you can't always be available to everyone around you. And time to stop feeling guilty for choosing you. Because here's the truth. When you fully understand your worth, you realize that not everyone deserves access to your life. Your peace is far too valuable to be disturbed by people who only bring chaos and confusion. Your energy is too precious to waste on meaningless drama. There is incredible power in your silence. There is strength in your stillness. There is wisdom in knowing when to walk away from conversations that drain you, from relationships that no longer serve your growth, from environments that no longer align with where God is leading you. And when you begin to protect your peace, don't expect everyone to understand. Some will label you distant. Some will call you selfish. Others may even feel offended because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. But don't you dare carry guilt for choosing yourself. A queen doesn't seek permission to protect her peace. She doesn't owe explanations for why she's no longer available for foolishness. She doesn't apologize for walking away from people who were never meant to rise with her to the next level. You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to respond to every insult. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Some of the greatest victories are won quietly, in silence. Some of the hardest battles are fought simply by walking away. And some of the deepest peace you will ever know will come when you realize that not everything deserves your attention. From this moment forward, let peace be your standard. Let wisdom guide your steps. If someone cannot recognize your worth, that is their loss, not your burden. Many of you have been bending over backwards for people who wouldn't even take a single step for you. You've given your heart to those who don't have the capacity to hold it. You've exhausted yourself trying to prove your value to someone who will never appreciate it. But let me ask you, if you have to beg for someone's love, is it really love at all? If you constantly remind them to respect you, do they truly value you? Love is not something you have to force. Respect is not something you have to demand again and again. When someone truly sees you, when someone truly values you, they don't need convincing to treat you right. Some of you are still holding onto relationships that have long died. You've been fighting for people who stopped fighting for you a long time ago. You've been settling for half-hearted love, inconsistency, and being an option, not a priority. And the harsh truth? The only reason you're still holding on is because you're afraid of being alone. You're afraid of the silence, the uncertainty. You fear that if you walk away, you might never find love again. But let me tell you something. Loneliness isn't about being alone. Loneliness is about being in the wrong company. It's about sharing your heart with someone who doesn't cherish it. It's about giving your all to someone who only gives you half. If you are a queen, then it's time to set the standard for how you're treated. Stop accepting behavior that contradicts your worth. Stop ignoring red flags just because you're scared to start over. Stop letting fear of loneliness keep you trapped in cycles that break you. Do you realize how powerful you are? Do you know how valuable you are? You were never meant to live begging for the bare minimum. You were meant to be cherished, honored, loved fully and completely, not only when it's convenient for someone else. Here's the truth. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you keep accepting disrespect, it will continue. If you keep making excuses for inconsistency, nothing will change. If you keep settling for less, you will never receive more. It's not up to others to recognize your worth. Some of you are afraid to walk away because you think it means losing. But a queen never loses when she chooses herself. She never loses when she refuses to settle. She never loses when she walks away from those who were never meant to walk beside her. So hear this loud and clear: if someone cannot see your worth, Let them go. If someone treats you like an afterthought, let them go. If someone is inconsistent with you, let them go. You were not created to live your life in a constant state of. Picking up from where we left off about letting go of what no longer serves you. Here's the truth you need to hear. You were never designed to keep giving chance after chance to people who continually prove they don't deserve you. It's time to stop romanticizing what could be and start accepting the reality right in front of you. How long will you keep telling yourself, if only I love them harder, they'll change, or, if I'm just patient enough, they'll finally treat me right? People don't change unless they truly want to, and it's not your job to fix, heal, or complete anyone. Your job, and your sacred responsibility, is to protect your heart, guard your peace, and love yourself enough to walk away from anything that doesn't align with the future God has planned for you. Remember this. You are not an option. You are not someone's backup plan. You are not a convenience to be taken or left at someone else's whim. If someone cannot love you the way you deserve, then they simply do not deserve access to your life. You don't have to beg for the right kind of love. You don't have to plead for respect. You don't have to convince anyone to see your value, because when you know your worth, you refuse to settle for anything less than what you deserve. There will come a moment when you have to stop dimming your light just to make others comfortable. You have to stop shrinking yourself to fit into places that were never meant to hold you. It's time to stop downplaying your greatness because some people can't handle the weight of your calling. A queen does not make herself small to soothe insecure people. A queen does not lower her standards just to be accepted. A queen does not silence her voice because others fear her power. You were not created to be ordinary. You were not designed to blend in. You were placed on this earth for greatness, not mediocrity. It's time for you to rise, to walk boldly in the fullness of who you were created to be. Some of you have been sitting on your potential for far too long, waiting for permission to step into your greatness, waiting for someone else to validate your dreams, to confirm your calling, to give you the green light to pursue what God has already placed in your heart. But let me tell you this, you don't need anyone's permission to be great. You don't need anyone's approval to walk in your purpose. You don't need anyone to co-sign what God has already confirmed in you. If you keep waiting for people to clap for you, you'll be waiting forever. If you keep looking for external validation, you'll never move forward. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you'll never take the first step. How many of you are letting the fear of what others might think paralyze you? You hold back because you don't want to make waves. You stay silent so you won't offend anyone. You play it safe because you're afraid of judgment, criticism, or failure. But listen carefully. No one who ever walked in greatness did so without facing opposition. No one who ever fulfilled their purpose did so without resistance. No one who ever made an impact did so without encountering doubt, ridicule, or rejection. If you wait for everyone to agree with you before you step into your purpose, you'll never move. If you wait for the road to be easy before you pursue your dreams, you'll never start. If you wait for people to understand your calling before you walk in it, you'll be stuck in the same place for the rest of your life. A queen does not ask permission to shine. A queen does not apologize for her anointing. A queen does not allow small-minded people to talk her out of her destiny. You have been equipped. You have been called. You have been chosen. And now, it's time to act like it. You cannot keep sitting on your potential because you're afraid of what people might say. You cannot keep hiding your gifts because you don't want to make others uncomfortable. You cannot keep playing small because you fear failure. Here's the truth. Failure is not your enemy. The real enemy is never trying. The real enemy is staying stuck in fear. The real enemy is letting doubt steal your destiny. Some of you have dreams buried deep beneath the weight of life's circumstances. You've allowed setbacks to convince you that it's too late, that you missed your chance, that you're not good enough, smart enough, or qualified enough. But let me remind you, what God placed inside of you is still there. The gift is still alive. The calling is still waiting. The purpose is still real. It doesn't matter how much time has passed. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made. It doesn't matter who walked away. It doesn't matter how many times you've fallen. What matters is that you get back up and start walking in the authority given to you. You must stop sitting on your anointing. Stop burying your talent. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. The perfect moment is the moment you decide to step out in faith. The perfect moment is when you stop making excuses and start making moves. It's time to activate your purpose. Time to stop living beneath your calling. Time to step into your rightful place. And remember, not everyone will be happy about it. Not everyone will celebrate you. Not everyone will support you. But that is not your problem. You were not called to be light. You were called to be great. You were not created to fit in. You were created to stand out. You were not meant to sit on the sidelines. If you're going to walk in, continuing from the call to step boldly into your greatness, it's crucial to understand that walking in your purpose means being willing to leave behind anything that no longer aligns with the direction you're headed. Sometimes, that means ending certain relationships. Sometimes, it means letting go of old habits. Sometimes, it means changing your environment entirely. Because here's the truth. You cannot soar to new heights while holding on to dead weight. You cannot step into the next level while clinging to things that keep you bound. You cannot walk in your full power while entertaining anything that weakens you. A queen knows exactly when to walk away. She understands when it's time to let go. She recognizes when the moment to rise has finally arrived, and that moment is now. There comes a time in your life when you have to stop explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds about you. You have to stop trying to prove your worth to those who refuse to see it. You must stop seeking validation from people who were never meant to affirm you in the first place. A queen does not waste her time convincing others of her value. She doesn't plead for respect. She doesn't beg for love. She doesn't chase after those who have walked away. Instead, she stands firm in who she is, fully aware that her presence alone is enough. Many of you have been exhausting yourselves, trying to make people understand your heart. You've bent over backwards trying to be enough for those who will never appreciate you. You've given explanations to people who don't deserve access to your life. But listen carefully, you owe nobody an explanation for your growth. You don't have to defend the boundaries you set to protect your peace. You don't have to explain why you refuse to settle for less than what you deserve. If someone doesn't respect your decisions, that is not your problem. If they don't understand your calling, that is not your responsibility. If they don't support your journey, that is not your concern. Too many of you have been living under the weight of other people's expectations for far too long. You've carried burdens that were never meant to be yours. You've shrunk yourself to fit into spaces never designed for you. So, let me ask you this. When will you start living for yourself? When will you stop letting the opinions of others dictate your choices? When will you stop seeking approval from people who don't even have a vision for their own lives? A queen does not move according to public opinion. She doesn't seek permission to be who she is. She doesn't water herself down just to make others comfortable. She knows exactly who she is. She stands in her power. She walks in her authority. Some of you have been afraid to walk away from situations that no longer serve you because you don't want to be misunderstood. You're scared of what people will say if you set boundaries. You fear judgment if you choose to prioritize yourself. You're afraid of losing relationships if you start demanding the respect you deserve. But here's what you need to know. If someone cannot handle your growth, they were never meant to go with you. If they cannot respect your boundaries, they never truly valued you. If they cannot celebrate your success, they were never really for you. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you will find peace. A queen does not entertain foolishness. She doesn't argue with people who thrive on negativity. She doesn't waste her energy on those who refuse to see the truth. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Some conversations aren't worth having. Some relationships aren't worth saving. You have to learn how to protect your energy. You must learn how to walk away from situations that drain you. You have to guard your heart against those who only come to take but never pour back. You were not placed on this earth to spend your life explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You were not created to constantly defend your choices to people who don't respect your journey. You are not designed to keep proving your worth to those who refuse to see it. At some point, you have to stop talking and let your actions speak. Stop arguing and let your peace be the answer. Stop explaining and just be. Because when you truly know who you are, you don't need to convince anyone else. When you are confident in your calling, you don't need external validation. When you walk in your purpose, you don't chase approval, you command respect. Many of you have been carrying unnecessary burdens, weighed down by other people's opinions, stressing over things beyond your control. But here's the reminder. You are not responsible for how others perceive you. You are not responsible for their inability to see your heart. You are not responsible for their refusal to acknowledge your growth. That is their issue, not yours. The moment you stop seeking their approval is the moment you will be free. A queen does not waste her time proving herself. She doesn't chase after people who walked away. She doesn't lower herself just to be accepted. She stands firm. She walks with confidence. She moves with grace. And she lets go of anything that does not honor the woman she was created to be. So stop explaining yourself. Stop defending yourself. Stop seeking validation. You are a queen. It's time to start acting like one. You have spent far too much time doubting yourself, questioning your worth, waiting for permission to walk in your power. But that time is over. No more shrinking. No more apologizing. No more seeking validation from people who will never see your value. You are a queen, created with purpose, designed with strength, and called to greatness. Stand tall in your worth. Speak with authority. Move with intention. Walk into every room like you belong there, because you do. Let go of anything and anyone who does not honor who you are becoming. A queen does not wait for approval. She commands respect by the way she carries herself, by the way she loves herself, by the way she refuses to settle. This is your moment to rise, to take your place, to walk fully in your God-given power. You are a queen now. It's time to start acting like one.